I'm never going to live that one down, am I? Whatever works. I love it though.
So good evening and welcome. We're going to get started here soon, and those I haven't met, my name is Chris Jacobs. I'm a steward here at St. Sophia and also on the parish council. And for the last, I don't know, year and a half or so, a few of us here have been very interested in the topic of outreach and evangelism. And last October, so before I get to that, you might have noticed, maybe at the last spring festival, we were bold enough to have a table out there. We figured, hey, we got all these people coming to our festivals. It'd be nice to maybe share our faith with them and a little bit about us. So we had a table out there. Most of you probably didn't see that. We'll do a better job this time, I guarantee you. And during the Unity Walk, where we get folks visiting from all over the city, all the faith-based organizations up and down Mass Avenue on September 11th. Come down, this is kind of a DC thing. And we had a table there, and we had, 500, we think? Over 500 people. And they all left with a little paper icon, a little I won't say tchotchke, but a little church swag to remember St. Sophia by. Okay, so we're trying a few things and so forth. This past October, I was volunteered to attend the first ever, I'm told, conference on missions and evangelism, hosted or under the auspices of the metropolis of San Francisco. They were hoping for 100 attendees, 160 showed up. I would say roughly 100 laity, 60 clergy, something like that. From as far away as Alaska, Canada, we had a few Ukrainian Orthodox from Canada that heard about it and came down. The Bahamas, I would say that there was mostly centered on the San Francisco metropolis, but there were folks from the DAD and from the Atlanta metropolis and the others. So it was quite a turnout. And I'll share with you, before I introduce the speaker tonight, who was one of the speakers at the event, some of the revelations that I had being out there in the audience. His Eminence, Metropolitan Gerasimos, gave the opening remarks, the keystone speech, whatever you call that. And I learned that after a conscious effort of planning, the metropolis of San Francisco planted over 23, so if I get this right, over 25 years they planted 23 churches. Who knew? So they did that by looking at places where the population was growing and establishing mission churches there. We met, the conference was at one of those mission churches that started about 20 years ago with 6 families, and there are over 120 now in Beaverton, Oregon, outside, right across from the Nike World Headquarters in Beaverton. So I was shocked because, like many of you, we read, it's required reading for those of us on the parish council, Tom Raymer's book, Autopsy of a Deceased Church. We've all read these, we read the Pew Research reports. And yes, 80% of the churches in America are plateaued or in decline. But the corollary to that is 20% are growing. So what are they doing? What are they doing to attract people to the church? So it was that kind of conference where we explored these different ideas. The speakers all had their own perspective on things. I'm not going to, Father Barnabas is going to share with us his perspective. And if I had to sum it up, I would say it was about startups and turnarounds. So we talked about the startups. But there were also turnarounds, stories about parishes that were in decline, severely in decline, and managed to turn things around. So, brothers and sisters, it's not impossible at all. We just have to get focused and get to it. There's a playbook. We're going to hear a little bit about that tonight, but when I say there's a playbook, the folks in the metropolis of San Francisco have an actual executive director who's in charge of ministries and evangelism. They've put together resource libraries, so forth and so on, methodologies on how to do this. So bringing it back home here to St. Sophia, trying to pull it all together, I'm so glad you were all here tonight to sort of kick off the MO, as we like to call it, the Ministry on Outreach and Evangelism. And hopefully you'll be as inspired as I was after the presentation tonight. So that said, I want to introduce our speaker. Some of you, I believe, Father, you've been here at St. Sophia before. I remember you were here.
Priest, yes. It was before I was a priest.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So welcome again. You're not a guest anymore. You're family, right? Okay. So Father Powell is a native of Atlanta, Georgia. Having been raised in a small Pentecostal church as a boy, Barnabas grew to love the church, enjoyed the music, and eventually came to be the youth pastor at his home church. Barnabas attended, and I'm sorry, is it Toccoa Falls College, an evangelical Protestant school in Northeast Georgia, and received his theology degree there in 1988. He then went on to establish a new church in the Atlanta area. While pastoring, Barnabas also was heavily involved with evangelical Christian media. Okay? A reading program in church history and theology would eventually lead him to enter the Orthodox Church, along with several of the families that had been with him during his pastorate in November of 2001. In 2007, Barnabas was given the blessing of Metropolitan Alexios of Atlanta to enter the Holy Cross Greek Orthodox School of Theology in Brookline, Massachusetts. On November 8, 2009, Barnabas was ordained to the diaconate in his hometown of Atlanta at Annunciation Greek Orthodox Cathedral by His Eminence Metropolitan Alexios. And on March 8, 2010, Barnabas was ordained to the Holy Priesthood at the same cathedral. He is now senior pastor Prois Dominus at Saints Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene Greek Orthodox Church in Cumming, Georgia. And I had to look up where that was. It's north of Atlanta, because I have a cousin in Alpharetta. It's even north of that, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yep, got it.
They should come to church then.
If they were, well, we'll talk about that. That's right. Yeah, you're right. Father Barnabas founded Faith and Courage Ministries in 2014 and is the host of Faith and Courage Live on Ancient Faith Radio. He also produces the Monday through Friday devotional called Faith and Courage Daily. A Journey to Fullness is a video project he has released through the ministry to help parishes introduce the faith to the average person. Father Barnabas is particularly motivated by the beauty and timelessness of our Orthodox Christian faith and strives to see this timeless faith put down deep roots here in America. Amen. The Orthodox Christian faith is uniquely suited to quench the spiritual thirst of Americans from all backgrounds with the depth and beauty of our Orthodox faith. Ultimately, Father Barnabas believes that orthodoxy is the path to both spiritual renewal in our Orthodox homes and the path for all believers to spiritual maturity. So please join me in putting your hands together and welcoming Father Barnabas Powell to St. Sophia.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the invitation, of course, my brother clergy. And Father, thank you for letting me to come to your home. I appreciate it very, very much. First coffee hour I ever attended after I converted to Orthodoxy. Orthodox Christian. I have the Chrismation certificate to prove it. So I have my name tag, Barnabas Powell, By the way, I wasn't born with Barnabas. My name when I was born was Charles, but I was given the name Barnabas by my spiritual father when I was received into the church. Everybody else, we had about 20 families converted with us whenever we converted to the faith, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. But I don't want to bore you with all my boring details, but just to kind of set you up about where we're going to be going here tonight. I go to this coffee hour. This is a beautiful Greek Orthodox church in the metro Atlanta area. I won't tell you where it is. Yaya walks up to me. Powell. Is not a Greek name. I said, no ma'am, my family is Welsh and Irish in background. What are you doing here? Don't you have your own church to go to?
Oh, no.
And then I had the glorious privilege of blowing Yaya's mind. I looked at her and I said, dear, this is my church. What? Why? Yaya was not upset that I was there. She was thrilled. We became dear friends. She was thrilled I was there. She had absolutely no clue why, though. She told me later, she said, Barnabas, I have to be here. I'm Greek. I have no choice. I have to be here. I can't go anywhere else, but you have a choice. Why would you do this to yourself? And I had the wonderful privilege of telling her why I was blessed to be in the Greek Orthodox Church and become a Greek Orthodox Christian. And that story is a fairly long one, and one day I'm going to write it all down eventually, but not right now. Suffice it to say that I fell in love with church history. And that phrase there, I fell in love. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, by the way, how many lifelong Orthodox do we have here tonight? If you're a lifelong Orthodox, raise your hand. Very, very jealous of you. Very jealous of you. And converts to the Orthodox faith. Convert to the faith? I'll stick my hand up. Now, don't be shy. It's okay. I'm the one speaking, so I'm the most important person here. You're with us. No. But the reality is, and I'm going to say this, and I mean it with all my heart. If you understood, you precious lifelong Orthodox, what I would give, look at me in the face, what I would give to have the treasure that you've had your whole life, you would never take your faith for granted again. I will tell you this, if you don't stop taking it for granted, you can kiss your children and grandchildren goodbye. They will be Orthodox by accident and in name only. And in 2 generations, we will see the sad reality that they won't have any connection to the Orthodox faith at all. There is a statistic out there now. I'm not quite sure how accurate it is. The problem is it feels true. That's what bothers me more than anything. And the statistic says that 9 out of 10 Americans of Greek ancestry are no longer actively connected to the Orthodox Church in this country. Dropi. Καταλάβετε. Dropi. If that's true, my friends, what's going on? Well, the only way you can lose a treasure, folks, is to stop treating it like a treasure. When you stop treating it like a treasure, when you start treating it not like merely just a cultural decoration, I'm accidentally Orthodox rather than being purposely Orthodox. When you start treating a treasure like that, trust me, it's happened every time it's ever occurred. You lose the treasure. Period, full stop, end of discussion. That's not even a debate. You wonder where our kids are? This is the reason why. We have told them that orthodoxy is an accident. It's not a purposeful life. And when you treat a treasure that way, it goes away. Period, full stop, end of discussion. It's just what's true. So imagine my surprise when my best friend and I started this reading program that would lead us into the Orthodox Church. I looked at him one time and I said, Rod, I keep coming across these Orthodox people. They're wonderful. I read it in the book, and the stuff that they came up with, what they say about Jesus, what they say about the Holy Trinity, what they say about salvation, what they say about God not being this angry, upset deity that is more like Zeus than he is the father of Jesus. By the way, you know, Greek Orthodox don't worship Zeus, right? You know that, right? Somebody asked me that. You're Greek Orthodox. Do you worship Zeus? No, we don't worship Zeus. By the way, this is half stand-up comedian activity too, so I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, try the veal, tip your waitress. But I kept coming across these Orthodox people, and I was reading the stuff of the church fathers, and I'm reading all of this theology, and I looked over at my buddy, and I said, Rod, these Orthodox people are wonderful. Have you ever seen one? And he said, no. I said, I never have either. I wonder if they made it. Maybe they disappeared. Maybe we have to restart this. But I think this is the way it's supposed to be. Fortunately, we met some Greek Orthodox people after that, so that helped a great deal. But I'm sure that we had met Orthodox people over and over again. But they had been so insular that they had never dared, they never thought that we would want to hear about their faith. And guess what, gang? Those of you who are lifelong Orthodox, look at me in the face. You're wrong. Every person that you come in contact with wants to be Orthodox. They just don't know it yet. That is true. That's the reason why at our parish in Cumming, every person that comes on our grounds, we assume want to be Orthodox. Period. Full stop. End of discussion. We assume it. If they come for a baptism, we assume they want to be Orthodox. If they come for a funeral, we assume they want to be Orthodox. Because listen, they can't see the stuff that we're doing and not have it touch their hearts and their lives and say, man, this is touching something deep inside of me. This is the reason why what drew me to Orthodoxy is that the first time I went to the Divine Liturgy, I'm there going, what I look at first, I got paintings all over the wall. You got a guy coming out of the front wall back here, and he's got a chain with a bowl at the end of it. Smoke's coming out, and he's shaking it at everybody. I don't know what it was. I mean, I was a Pentecostal. I didn't know what a censer was, for heaven's sake. I was a Pentecostal. Guy coming out shaking it and stuff. Shaking it at me. But what was happening? The bells, the smell, the sound, the sight, the taste, the touch. Orthodoxy touches every aspect of what it means to be a human being. Every way a human can receive information, Orthodoxy gets that to you. Orthodoxy is normal Christianity. Everything else has to prove otherwise. Orthodoxy is the faith that recreates the universe. Period, full stop, into discussion. We're about to step into great Lent, where we're going to purposely say no to good things for a short period of time so that we can learn to receive them in a Eucharistic way. Now, with that kind of message, my precious friends, with that kind of spiritual food at your disposal, please help me understand how you're ever going to justify not sharing that food with the spiritually hungry people around you. Please help me. I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't understand how in the world you can have this kind of treasure and think that you're going to be justified in keeping it to yourself. That confuses me. Especially when I run into Americans who are dying spiritual deaths all over the country, starving spiritually to death for the treasure that we've taken for granted. Gang, every divine liturgy, you know what we pray? For the right answer before the awesome judgment seat of Christ. What is your answer going to be? I don't mean to beat you up first thing, although it's kind of fun. I'll confess it. It is. It's fun. It's an easy target. It's easy to do. Anyway. Because we have a situation in the United States for our Orthodox churches. The Orthodox churches in this country are in decline. In the United States of America, since 10 years, we've been measuring at, they've been measuring before that. But the last 10 years, baptisms are down in the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese. Weddings are down in the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese. Charismatians are down in the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese. By the way, the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese is the largest group of Orthodox Christians in the United States. All the other Orthodox Christians combined don't equal half of what we have available to us. But on average, only about 25% of the Greek Orthodox Christians attend church at least twice a year. I don't know about you, gang, but I fall back on the great Orthodox theologian Forrest Gump, who said, "Stupid is as stupid does. Orthodoxy is as orthodoxy does." It's nice that you're Greek, but if you don't practice the faith, you're not Orthodox. Father, that upsets me. Okay. I told Father earlier, I said, I have two jobs. Comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. That's my job. So, if it is true what you sing in the Divine Liturgy, every Divine Liturgy, at the end of the Divine Liturgy, after you've received the Holy Eucharist, you sing a song. You know what it is? We have seen the light. Oh, excuse me. I guess I should do it. Should I do it in Greek? No, I'm not going to do it in Greek. I'm going to do it in English. We have seen the light, the true light. We have received the heavenly Spirit. We have found what?
The true faith.
What?
The true faith.
You're kidding, right?
Spirit from above.
We have found the true faith, worshiping the Holy Trinity, who has saved us. Now, you may not know that you sing that every week, but you do. If you have the true faith and you withhold it from your neighbor, you are a demon. You are not even a human being. If you have the true faith and you withhold it from your neighbor, you are a demon. You are a friend of the Antichrist. What you want to bet I don't get invited back? No, I'm just teasing. I make these bold statements for one reason and one reason only. If we don't break the log jam of mediocrity that has typified our attitude towards being purposefully orthodox in our lives, we will continue the suicide of the witness of the Orthodox faith in this country. That has to stop, folks. I love my children. Do you understand that? I want my kids to have a place to go to church. I want them to be Orthodox. But I want them to be Orthodox on purpose. And in doing so, that assumes that I am going to be a wise communicator of the faith. I am going to value this faith enough to insist on excellence in communication, and I'm going to do this in a productive and an organized fashion so that I can never, by the way, what you don't measure, you don't plan to keep. I am going to do the outreach and evangelism in such a way that I can measure the results of my work so that I can see if I am placing the right emphasis on the tools that work. And this is the reason why I am talking about media tonight and talking about the faith. So let's go ahead and start pushing some buttons here, shall we? The question is, what do we do with people who come to our communities? By the way, do you have a festival here? Do you have a Greek festival here?
Yes.
Of course you do. You have bills to pay, right? And we want the city to pay for our bills, right?
No.
Isn't that right? No?
No.
I mean, we say it's fun and it's about culture, but you know it's to make money. It's to make money. And, okay. But I will tell you what we did in coming. We stopped doing a festival for fundraising. Now, if we make money, glory to God. The main reason we do a festival is evangelism. You can't have thousands of people come onto your property and then not treat them like they should be given the opportunity to hear the treasure that is the most valuable thing. Not Yaya's baklava recipe or the souvlaki. But the greatest treasure that you possess is your Orthodox faith. Now, if you don't believe that, then it makes perfect sense to me why we're in the place that we're in. But if you do believe that, if you do believe that your orthodoxy is the greatest treasure you possess and the only thing worth passing on to your kids, if you believe that, then you cannot withhold it from the guests that come on this property. So we do a festival for outreach. And we have a plan to do that. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But the main thing that I want you to remember is, I have become all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. Now this I do for the gospel's sake, that I may be partaker of it with you. So, why isn't your church growing? 82% of the people in Washington, D.C. say they would come to church if someone they knew would invite them. But only 2% of American Christians, this is less for the Greek Orthodox, invite people to come to their church.
Wow.
Only 2%. So do the math. We have a tremendous, if this was a marketing strategy, we would have failed years ago. We are out of business. If this is our marketing strategy, we're done. So, what do we do, and how do we face the challenge? Number one, we have to go where the people already are. Facebook has 1.65 billion monthly active users. Twitter has 310 million. Instagram, I don't use Instagram, so I don't know much about that. But my daughter tells me all the time that Instagram is the place to be. I don't know. Snapchat, I have no idea what that is.
No.
But apparently it's a fast-growing thing. Snapchat, is it? Or is it? Maybe this is old already, because this is more than 2 weeks old. So YouTube has over 1 billion users. By the way, did you know that 4 years ago we started putting our weekly homilies on YouTube, on our YouTube channel? Right now, I preach to almost 200,000 people a week. You ever been in sales? The key is to put more folks in the funnel, and then that way you get a balance. The reason why that works is because they got it from the faith. The church figured this out first, anyway. So add to this the media consumption of radio and television, and you have a culture saturated with media. This includes most of your parishioners and all of your youth. So if your faith doesn't show up where your youth are regularly consuming information, what does that tell them? That tells them that your faith isn't as valuable as Beyonce. Beyonce? Okay, good. I think isn't she pregnant? Isn't that she said 2 fetuses invade her? Anyway, she's twins. I think it's twins. But anyway, so folks, if I don't wrap this in sugar, you'll never swallow it. So if your faith doesn't show up where your kids are, what does that communicate to them? That faith that mom and dad make me come to every Sunday, and it's boring and it's horrible and I don't understand anything that's going on and I hate this, but if I can just escape so that I can get online and then I can do the relevant stuff. When that becomes normal, your kids are gone, folks. Someone else has converted them to something else. So what do we have to do? We have to show up in the media that's there. So here's how we tackled the opportunity. We started recording the weekly homily since 2012. We've posted 165 homilies on YouTube. We have over 2,000 subscribers that get an email about new homilies every week, and our videos have been viewed by almost 150,000 times. That's actually gone up now to 200,000. But I want to just show you what we do here. Well, blast it. Come on, don't do